Alright, what's up guys? So today we're just doing a really quick video. I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of tech that I found, or just some general tips and tricks that you might not already know when it comes to a lot of characters. We're just going to be going really quick through a couple random characters that I know stuff for. But today we're focusing specifically on Vanguard and Strategist. I know a lot of you guys are really tired of seeing, 4, maybe even 5 DPS like insta-locking in your games, and it gets really frustrating. But I'm kind of here to shed some light on the fact that the Vanguards and the Strategists are actually really cool characters that you guys should all pick up. Because it's just more fun that way if you can enjoy a role that not everybody else is always trying to play, and it also just helps your team win the games. So just real quick, we're going to be going through a few. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much. Let's just get right into it. So we're actually going to start with Bruce Banner specifically. So a lot of the time, if you get knocked out of Hulk form, you're pretty much going to instantly die, right? I mean, Bruce Banner, he doesn't have much, in terms of utility. But one thing you might not know is that his grenade actually can launch him back. So just, as a last-ditch effort, when you become Bruce Banner, there's going to be a lot of people around you. If trying your best to survive, boom, just launch yourself away. And there's a little bit of a chance you could survive a little bit longer, but you're pretty much dead as soon as you go into Banner form anyways. Everybody's just kind of staring at you, waiting for you to swap, and it's terrifying. But if we turn into Hulk real quick here, one thing, or a few things you might not know about him. One, his jump right here, you can actually swing while you're charging it up, right? So a good thing to do is to always have it charged. Oh, I'm taking a lot of damage, run away. And it just helps a lot with your survivability with Hulk. Another thing you might not know that is actually really useful with Hulk is that he can cling on to walls. I didn't find this out till recently, but you can actually do this as many times as you want, right? So if there's like 2 walls right next to each other, say like in here, I can cling onto this wall. Oh, I missed, hold on. I can cling onto this wall, and then I can cling onto this wall. And you can just go back and forth and back and forth. I recently watched a video by Zebra where he showcased this a lot, just kind of getting into the enemy's backline and everything, and I thought it was really cool. And the last tip I have for Hulk, just real quick, is his immobilization move right there. That's green. It makes them green. They can't move around. They're paralyzed. So you actually knock them out of it early whenever you swing or whenever you use your big old slap right there. So if you see this, right, I immobilize him, oh, and now he's out of it. So a really good, useful Hulk tip is to, hold on, let me turn on no cooldowns real quick, is to immobilize somebody and then go and attack somebody else, and then come back to them. And then now that they're back, you can just beat them up, right? Especially if it's like somebody squishy, like a support, or there's a support right here, and this is a DPS, you immobilize the DPS, and then you go to the support. And it's super useful Hulk tip. Because you're going to knock him out of it early if you attack him anyways, so there's no point. And that's pretty much all I have for Hulk. So let's move on to the next character. Alright, so the next tank we have here is Groot. I'm not exactly a Groot player, so I'm not great at him. I don't know any crazy tips, but I do know 2 pretty important things that you might have overlooked if you just don't play this character that often. So one important thing just to know is what effective range he has, right? So this is 30 meters. He's not hitting the target, obviously. 25 meters, he's not hitting the target. But at 20 meters, this is pretty much his exact range. You can't really go out of 20 meters, right? You got to be at 20, or it's not going to happen. So it's really important to know and kind of get comfortable with how far you can reach with him. Because surprisingly, Groot is actually not that bad at taking down flyers, right? His move isn't exactly hit scan. Obviously, you still got to lead your shots a little bit, but it is really fast, so you can't really underestimate it. See, like, I can't reach this guy right now, but when you get closer to them and you kind of get in range, he's not too terrible at taking down flyers. So that's a pretty good thing to know with Groot. And the last tip I have for him, most people have probably seen this by now. You've seen people cranking 90s as Groot. but you can actually adjust the angle of his walls and do some kind of crazy things with them, you know, just like Fortnite, right? And and that's a pretty good thing to know with Groot. Maybe if you're trying to get to a high place like this, but do keep in mind you can only have 3 out at a time, so if I try and place another one, it's going to break the whole thing, right? You can't have the rest of them if it's on the bottom. So that's pretty much Groot for you. Next character I've got for you, really cool one. I love the design on this guy. This is Thor. So Thor easily has some of the highest DPS out of any tank. Obviously it doesn't look, you know, crazy. I'm just swinging at this guy right now, but whenever you use his Thor Force abilities correctly, he can do some insane stuff. So nothing crazy with Thor tech wise. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the dash cancel, so obviously if you don't want to commit to a dash, it takes a long time to have to hold it down. You're like, oh crap, I don't want to do that anymore, but then you have to wait for the whole animation. So a lot of people, they aim straight down and then, you know, forget about it, and you don't move any, and you still get to stay in your position, and you don't have to wait for the entire animation. So it's pretty good, pretty useful. So that is a good thing with Thor. One thing a lot of people don't realize is how to be super duper tanky with him, right? So whenever he uses all his abilities, he gets shield, he gets overhealth or whatever, you know, that just appears because he used it. So when I throw my hammer, boom, shield pops up. Whenever I swing into them, boom, shield pops up. It looks like the max is 800, so you can't really go over 800 overhealth, but I think that's plenty, honestly. So one of the easiest things to do with Thor to have a lot of high impact is you're kind of messing around in the middle of the team. Oh, you see a strategist, run away with him, pop your bubble, and then go into super mode, right? And then you're doing crazy damage. You can kill the strategists real easy. They're away from their team, and that's how you kind of do a lot of damage with Thor, is kind of picking off people with this. You're like, oh, I can't go into my thingy right now because, you know, I already used one to dash in. Well, that's why you have the bubble. The bubble, the more people are in it, whenever you place it, the more hammers you get. And when you're at 3, boom, God mode. And you actually do insane damage with this. I don't know if there's any fall off. It doesn't really look like it whenever you use it. So I guess here, let's test it out just real quick. So I'm at 3 hammers. Boom, 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 doing actually crazy damage. Then I come a little closer. Oh, well, you know, you get it. It did not look like there was any fall off whatsoever. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, exact same damage from even 30 meters away. It obviously has a little bit of travel time, but it's just crazy. So that's a really easy way to be super effective with Thor. There's nothing crazy that I know about him other than that. So just, you know, have fun mashing up people with this character, using your abilities. You get overhealth. This is one tanky, high damage tank, you know. So I think he's a little bit underrated in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much how you play Thor. With Strange, there's not a lot I can say about him that I'm sure you don't already know. Obviously, his portals, super crazy, you know, kills, like, you know, getting people to jump off the map. One important thing you might not realize is that you can reposition the first portal, you know, to make it, well, obviously if you've seen the kills, you know how it works, right? So, now that they're both positioned this way, you know, oh crap, I just jumped through and died. Like, that's, you know, a super easy way to get the elemental kills, putting it at the door when they spawn in and everything. So that's Strange's portal. Very easy tip right there if you didn't already know that you could reposition. Another really important thing to do is figure out how to block ults with your shield, specifically like maybe the flying one. So say, easiest example, Hela, she comes up and she's gonna start raining it down on your team. Oh crap, I fly up there and I shield her and just kind of move around so she can't aim anywhere else, and you just kind of mitigate the entire ultimate just because of that. Another super duper easy thing to do with Strange, whenever you ult, make sure you have your purple fully built up. Obviously you can't get healed in this state, so just keep that in mind. But you might be in the middle of the team, boom, you ultimate. Now they have 2 hitboxes, and you do your massive explosion, and it hits them twice because they have 2 hitboxes. So that's why it's super duper important to always have your purple built up whenever you ult. You're going to do absolutely insane damage just by pressing, one button, because you're hitting them twice. So just keep that in mind, especially maybe if you're another hero with AoE like Hawkeye, his explosive arrows. If he shoots his explosive arrow during strange ult, he's hitting them both times. So that's pretty good. So just nothing much else with strange, but that's about it. Alright, if you play Venom, I really hope you already know this. It's actually such an important thing to know with him. You have to turn off automatic swing if you want to free up his movement. It genuinely makes the movement in this game just feel so much better, like this web slinging movement. I mean, it's the same with Spider-Man, very necessary. His isn't nearly as impactful as it is with Spider-Man, but still, I mean, their web slinging isn't entirely the same, but in Spider-Man he gets 3 of them, but it is so very, very important when you're playing this character. Another very important thing, just kind of a tip, not exactly a tech, is whenever you slam somebody, like when you're slamming the backline like the strategist, you want to instantly pop your little entanglement thing, because it slows down the enemies and it will do damage to them if they don't break out, like this. So he can't break out in time, and it's going to blow up on him, and it does a pretty good chunk of damage. Also, I'm sure you can see this, you can headshot with Venom. It doesn't exactly look like a headshotable move, but you want to be aiming for the head with this character. He does crazy damage. I mean, you just saw that. It's almost one-tapping squishies. So very, 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 very good to headshot with this character. Obviously very important. The lower his health, the more shield he gains. I only gain 25 shield because I'm at 125 shield because I'm at full health right now. But when I don't have full health, I'm very low. Oh, I get over 1,000 over health. It's crazy. This character is really wild. His shield is kind of similar to Ball in Overwatch if you played him. Last tip you might not know is his Devour actually does damage based on the enemy's health. So I'm pretty sure the way it works is the more health they have, the more damage they will be taking, and then you will gain health based on how much damage you did. So say you're really low, it's usually a good idea to devour and like tanks or people with more health, so that you can get more health. And as you saw just a second ago, I mean, these are just 2 squishies, and I got a pretty decent chunk of health. Boom, yeah, I'm over 1,000 HP. So that's a pretty good way of increasing your survivability with Venom. If you're low, you don't have shield, you don't have swing, just devour. It's obviously not like a crazy damaging ult, but it is really good for him staying alive. So that's pretty much it with Venom. Alright, next up we've got a pretty popular character. A lot of people think this character is lame. I think she's pretty cool. You just kind of got to get used to her kit. This is Penny Parker. So just real quick, we're going to go over a couple tips you might not know. So first, I'm sure you've seen clips or you've had it happen to you in game. Penny can hide her mind in these webs right here, right? So a lot of people, they'll put them at the enemy spawn and then hide a bunch of mines in there, and as soon as the enemy walks out, they blow up, and 1 or 2 people may instantly die. And that's just if you're not careful or you don't hear the spider mines, you're probably going to get messed up by penny mines. So just every game, if you hear spider mines outside your front door, please do not just walk out onto them. It's really embarrassing. I've had it happen to me. So that's an important anti-penny tip. Another cool thing you might not already know is that when Penny is standing in her webs, she actually is gaining shield. So with Penny, it's pretty important to kind of stay back and just kind of do your part from your webs, right? You don't always want to be rushing the enemy team. I know you're a tank, but she gets over health when she's standing in the webs, and that is very, very helpful for her survivability. And then when you're outside of the webs, it'll slowly go down. It doesn't just stay. So that's really pretty important with her. An important tip when it comes to using her spider mine spawner is to kind of put it around chokes like this. So you don't want it to be in front of the enemy so they can just shoot it, but you do want it to be kind of spread out onto the battlefield. So this kind of reminds me of like 2099, the push map, where there's a choke right here, there's a wall, you just kind of put it here. They kind of have to walk into it in order to kill it, so they can actually see it and it's in their sightline. But you know, they're getting hit by these mines whenever they walk into it. So it's pretty good to put it around chokes like that. And that is about it that I can think of for Penni. I mean, like, she's just getting free kills. They're just walking around, right? So that's pretty important. Last tip I can think of for her: if you are getting dived by somebody and you're taking a lot of damage and you really just need to run away, do not be shooting at them while you're running away. I don't know if you notice, but while she's shooting, she has a significant movement debuff, right? She's already pretty slow, but whenever she's shooting someone, she goes super duper slow. So if you're just trying to run away, don't be shooting at anybody, because it significantly increases your chances of dying. So that's pretty much it for Penni. Let's move on to the next tank. Alright, so Captain America, as I'm sure we all know, is not exactly the strongest tank right now. He just doesn't do any crazy damage, but he is super duper fun to play. It's really sad to see. So I'll still give you some tips because he is very fun, and there is a niche way of playing Captain America that can make him pretty useful on your team. So big important thing first off to realize, his shield unfortunately right now has a 1 second cooldown. It's not like, oh well, here, let me turn off the practice setting for no cooldowns. So as you can see, I have my shield up and then I put it down. Oh, I have to wait a whole full second before I can put it back up again. I'm mashing the shield button right now, and you know, you just gotta wait. It's very, very annoying, because you know, somebody like Strange can just kind of put it up whenever he wants, and it's way bigger, has way more health. So you know, I guess it's balanced that way because his is a reflect, and there's a really good video by Marvel Rivals Guides where he goes over pretty much everything that Cap can and can't reflect. So I suggest watching that. Very, very good. So just quick damage, you know, info with Cap. Whenever you hit the second hit of his melee, he gets projectiles. He gets about 4, or he gets, you know, 5 seconds worth. Is it 5 seconds? Yeah, 5 seconds before his projectiles go away. And those are really good. I'm pretty sure they bounce between enemies if you have it, you know, angled correctly. Just like his LB or his, you know, his shield throw. So it's pretty important to kind of get those off. Let's see, does it bounce? Okay, it does not bounce between enemies. But you know, we'll see if they rework Cap. Right now, he's not looking too high. Also, your shield throw can bounce off of walls and between enemies, in case you were unaware. That's kind of like the whole point of the move. So it's pretty good. Another very, very, very important thing for Cap is to turn on toggle sprint, right? So I'm not holding the sprint button right now. I just kind of pressed it down, and that way you can be sprinting all the time. And it is very, very useful for Cap, obviously, because why would you not want to be sprinting? It helps you get away, helps you get in faster, helps you chase enemies if they're running away from you. So just stop attacking, chase them, boom. So very, very useful for Cap to have toggle sprint on, so you're pretty much always sprinting. His abilities, like the slam right here and the shield bash, they only do 30 damage each, which is kind of crazy because, you know, they're on a cooldown, and this, you know, this endangers you a lot, right? So it's only 30 damage. So honestly, when I'm playing Cap, I never ever engage with the slam. I never engage with my shield bash because it's really just not worth the damage. I engage by sprinting, maybe sometimes just leaping in and then kind of messing them up. You really only ever want to engage somebody if they are by themselves, or if you have healers on you. because he just does not do sustainable damage against like 2 or 3 people, right? So if you are fighting somebody and somebody else shows up, honestly, if you can't get the kill, run away, slam, shield bash, get out of there just as fast as possible. I never use these to engage just because they're so useless, honestly, for that purpose. So you pretty much always just want to use them as running away tools, and that is about it. Not much else I can think of for Cap. He is way more fun if you have the Thor team up ability, and it makes him a lot more viable with Thor. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I mean, like if you turn on his thingy, boom, it's like he basically just gets infinite of his, like, you know, his secondary melee thing. So I would say if you can run it, if you can you run duos with a Thor, Cap is actually super duper fun. Alright, the last Vanguard, you know, tank, whatever you want to call it, that we have for today is Magneto. And Magneto is actually my Vanguard main. I just think he's one of the more consistent tanks. I don't think he's too strong, but I definitely think he's really balanced, and I just kind of love the way he looks, honestly. I'm just a Magneto fan, you know, from the comics. So a couple tips for him that are very important to remember is, one, he usually, and he's not going to do a crazy amount of damage, he's a poker tank, right? Kind of similar to Sigma in Overwatch if you play him, except, you know, his orbs don't bounce off the ground. But important thing to remember with him is his rings on his back. Obviously they're built up from taking damage with his shields, which he can either put on himself or his friends, kind of similar to Zarya, how her heat will build up. So basically the higher your ring level, which is indicated by those 3 arrows, the more damage this thing does. But you really only ever want to be using it if it's at max capacity, because when it's filled up all the way, it will boot them back. And this is very useful for creating space for your team, and it does more damage, obviously, and that's pretty much the only way you ever want to be using it. No other reason. It also recharges really fast, so, you know, I guess if you're just really impatient, but it's very useful like that. It also has, I think, unlimited range, compared to his primary, which, let's see, that's 20 meters, that's 25, oh wow, his primary actually goes, so it goes about 25 meters, so once you're past 25 meters, you're like, oh, I can't hit him anymore. Yes, you can, boom. And it's about the same speed as the primary, a little bit slower, so just keep that in mind. His shield, it's on a cooldown actually, but the cooldown isn't really that important. There's a bar you can see on the right side that's how much shield he has left. So just kind of be careful whenever you're doing that. It's not health based, it's entirely duration based. So you can tank literally anything with this shield. Same with this, I'm pretty sure it's also duration based. So very useful for Magneto. You can kind of outlast a lot of ultimates or just high damage things with a combination of this shield and this shield, because they don't have health, right? They just have time. So very useful for him. And the last thing, obviously, he is way better if you have the team up with Wanda. Wanda is not exactly the best hero right now, but I mean, this is some crazy damage. I think he becomes one of the best tanks in the game when he has this, but you also have to have not a great DPS on your team. But in the lower ranks, Wanda obviously is kind of melting people up. So this is a very useful combo if you want to run it with a DPS player who doesn't mind playing a kind of boring character. This just makes him way more fun, way more powerful. Last tip with Magneto, his ultimate actually absorbs projectiles. So say there's a Hela ulting, again, she gets countered by a couple ults. You can just kind of eat a lot of her projectiles instead of them getting killed. Or you can eat like a Star-Lord ult. It takes a little bit of practice, but he can absorb pretty much any projectile Other than that, it's not really useful, so I save it to counter ults rather than to do a lot of damage. And that's pretty much it for Magneto and all the Vanguards. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again next time with part 2. I'm gonna upload the strategist as a separate video, so if you like this, please like, subscribe, share with anybody you know who playing this game, especially the people who are insta-liking DPS and you're like, come on dude, these other roles are really cool. So I think this is a pretty good way of getting people to, first of all, I'm not a big fan of role queue, and I'm glad that it's not being enforced in this game, so I think we should keep it that way. I think we should encourage people to play tanks and supports and show them really how cool they are in general. So I hope this inspired you to pick up a tank, and I hope my next video inspires you to pick up a strategist, because they really are super fun characters and really cool designs. So just keep that in mind, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.